Hello everyone, welcome back to Ansarkari. So today we're continuing with the GS3 economy series and the topic is going to be what are the types of budget and their applications. So in detail, we'll be taking up the zero-based budgeting. What is it? What are the applications and how it has helped India in specific areas, in specific sectors, and why it is going to be important for 2023 and the coming times. So we'll be discussing all these different aspects. So firstly, let's understand कि zero-based budgeting होता क्या है. So since the name is self-explanatory, zero-based from मतलब कि it means कि फ्रॉम द वेरी बिगनिंग फ्रॉम द स्क्रैच फ्रॉम जीरो आप प्रीवियस ईयर के बेसिस पे कुछ डिसीजन नहीं ले रहे हो. यू आर नॉट बेसिकली यूजिंग द डेटा ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ प्रीवियस ईयर में जो आपके एक्सपेंडिचर रहे, या इट इज नॉट जस्ट ओनली टेक्निकल इन नेचर. तो ये टेक्निकल नहीं, इट इज मोर प्रैक्टिकल. इट इज अगेन ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ कॉस्ट एंड बेनिफिट एनालिसिस इसमें इन्वॉल्व रहते हैं. सो जितने भी एक्सपेंसेस हैं आपको उनको जस्टिफाई करना इंपॉर्टेंट है फॉर ईच न्यू पीरियड. सपोज यू आर मेकिंग अ बजट फॉर 2024. सो उसमें आपका बेसिकली कोई बेस ईयर नहीं रहेगा. उसमें जो भी आप सपोज प्लान करते हो कि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में आप कितना स्पेंड करोगे, सब्सिडीज में आप कितना स्पेंड करोगे, तो उसके लिए आपके पास प्रॉपर एक्सप्लेनेशन एंड जस्टिफिकेशन होना चाहिए कि why this much amount of money in this sector only, क्या जरूरत है उसकी. सो जो प्रोसेस है जीरो बेस्ड बजटिंग का, इट स्टार्ट्स फ्रॉम अ जीरो बेस. कोई प्रीवियस ईयर के हम डेटा को नहीं उठा रहे, कोई एक्सपेंडिचर कंपेयर नहीं कर रहे एंड देन वी आर डिसाइडिंग कि आने वाले टाइम में हम कैसे स्पेंड करेंगे. ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता. सो एवरी फंक्शन within an organization is analyzed for the needs and the costs. So budgets, they are then built around कि क्या actually needed है for the upcoming period, regardless of whether क्या वो previously हमने उस चीज के ऊपर सोचा था, क्या हमने प्लानिंग करी थी या नहीं करी थी. तो it is irrespective of history. We just focus upon the future and the needs. So zero-based budgeting एक ऐसी टेक्निक है which is it can be used by the private sector companies or even public sector companies also, but this type of budgeting can be used by individuals and families also. So this type of basically method of budgeting is applicable at all the levels, be it individual, household, or even at the corporate level. So budgets, they are created around monetary needs kya hai for each upcoming period, like it can be for any time duration. So zero-based budgeting helps managers tackle the lower cost in a company. So basically it makes spending more efficient. Spending is made much more efficient, or we can say it focus upon the fiscal efficiency. So suppose company, there's a corporate talking about formulation of the budget, they're planning for it. So herein their main focus is going to be objectives kya hai company ke, accordingly hum kitna amount allocate and spend karenge. Uski again you need to do the analysis. For that you need to identify your priorities. So on the basis of that, क्या आप बड़े प्रोजेक्ट्स को प्रायोरिटी दोगे या किसी और प्रोजेक्ट को प्रायोरिटी दोगे. सो अगेन प्रायोरिटी विल आल्सो डिपेंड अपॉन द नीड्स एंड द प्रोस्पेक्ट्स. Applications in India. So herein we'll just start with the basic things. 1986 से we have been incorporating this type of method of budgeting in different spheres, but ओवरऑल अगर हम ब्रॉड लेवल की बात करें, जो हमारा यूनियन बजट फॉर्मुलेट किया जाता है, देयरइन वी आर नॉट हैविंग दिस मेथड. सो वहां पे अगेन वी स्टिक टू द traditional practices of budgeting. So zero based budgeting we can use definitely farming, agriculture में. So herein again this thing has been highlighted by a union finance minister also, that it's important to go back to the basics. So how this thing can be utilized and implemented in the agriculture sector, let's understand that. So zero budget farming, it is a set of farming methods jahan pe there is zero credit involved, zero loans. Farmers, they'll not have to borrow money in order to cultivate a crop for agriculture, or and there is no use of chemical fertilizers also. So basically zero budget के साथ आप कैसे farming, that to sustainable farming, efficient farming कैसे carry out कर सकते हो. So that is possible under a zero budget method, and usme again chemical fertilizers are not a part of it. You'll be sticking to the natural fertilizers like manures, like cow dung. अगेन आपको इसको परचेज करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी, सो यू डोंट रिक्वायर मनी फॉर दैट, आपको क्रेडिट नहीं चाहिए है. एंड देन जीरो बजट फार्मिंग मॉडल, इट प्रोमिसेस टू कट डाउन द फार्मिंग एक्सपेंडिचर ड्रास्टिकली. जो अगेन इनपुट कॉस्ट है वो ऑलमोस्ट मिनिमाइज हो जाती है under this method. And again, this is also one of the ways through which farmers can be made more economically stronger. So it reduces dependence on the purchased inputs as it encourages use of own seeds, जो local varieties है, naturally available है, natural fertilizers का usage is encouraged under this technique. And definitely this is also in sync with the nature also. So it becomes sustainable agriculture. So Indian Railways may be different techniques adopt की गई है so as to again when we talk about formulating budget for different schemes and again progress of Indian Railways. So herein efforts have been made to incorporate this elements of zero-based budgeting. And while not a complete approach has been adopted, but we have been again started reviewing and justifying expenses more rigorously now compared to the earlier time periods and setting specific performance targets also. So इसमें objectives and how you will be allocating the money to meet those objectives. So इस चीज को हम priority देते हैं under this method. Then government of Rajasthan has also initiated a pilot project to implement this zero-based budgeting technique in selected departments. So even different state governments पे भी administration की जब हम बात करते हैं तो even they are relying on this. Traditional incremental budgeting methods अगर हम compare करें तो still they dominate. And उसमें basically traditional जो methods हैं उसमें we focus upon the previous year allocations with the adjustments, and that remains more prevalent even today. But we can say yes, some changes are visible. What are the positives and negatives of this technique? So positives may it helps you determine where you need to trim your spending. So again, it helps in fiscal prudence. Then again, negative counter to this is it can require a lot of preparation and maintenance because every single year you have to start from the very beginning, you have to start from the scratch. So it might utilize your time, but again uska agar hum cost and benefit analysis kare, so definitely that lies in your favor. Then positive is every dollar serves a purpose because you are spending it after proper analysis, after analyzing what is the need for spending that much amount of money. The negative is that it can be challenging to account for variable expenses that you might to again go with as per the needs, as per the changing times, and again because of certain challenges. So it might become a little challenging to account for the variable expenses that you might to go forward with in future. So because आपकी planning accordingly नहीं होती, बट हेयर इन दिस कैन बी अगेन एड्रेस्ड. अगर आप जब प्लानिंग कर रहे हो पूरा जीरो बेस्ड बजटिंग के थ्रू, तो यू कैन ऑल्सो टेक इनटू अकाउंट कि अगर फ्यूचर में वेरिएबल एक्सपेंसेस इमर्ज होते हैं तो उसके लिए भी आप एक सर्टेन अमाउंट साइड में रख सकते हो. देन पॉजिटिव इज दैट इट प्रमोट्स फोकस अराउंड योर शॉर्ट एंड द लॉन्ग टर्म फाइनेंशियल गोल्स. तो गोल्स एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव्स के ऊपर बहुत ज्यादा फोकस रहता है. नेगेटिव दैट इट माइट नॉट बी अ ग्रेट स्ट्रैटेजी फॉर दोज विद अ फ्लक्चुएटिंग इनकम. So again, fluctuating income, यहाँ पे आप micro या individual level पे बात कर रहे हो. So this is relevant for this. Now, when we compare the traditional versus the zero-based budgeting techniques, so firstly, we'll talk about कि दोनों techniques किन areas पे ज़्यादा emphasize करती है. तो traditional में हम accounting oriented method या techniques पे या चीज़ों पे ज़्यादा focus करते हैं. So we focus upon how much are we spending, and zero-based budgeting में we focus upon why are we spending इस एरिया में हम क्यों स्पेंड कर रहे हैं, बाकी एरिया पे क्यों नहीं स्पेंड कर रहे हैं, या इस एरिया पे हम ज्यादा क्यों स्पेंड कर रहे हैं। तो यहाँ पे अगेन वाई एड्रेस किया जाता है, जो कि ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट होता है कंपेयर टू हम कितना स्पेंड कर रहे हैं। देन टॉकिंग अबाउट अप्रोच, सो ट्रेडिशनल मेथड्स में वी आर मॉनिटरिंग टूवर्ड्स एक्सपेंडिचर्स, तो ये अगेन थोड़ा क्वांटिटेटिवली फोकस ज्यादा रहता है, यहाँ पे क्वांटिटी पे ज्यादा फोकस है, एंड जीरो बेस्ड बजटिंग में क्वालिटी पे ज्यादा फोकस है। So zero-based budgeting में it is towards the achievement of your objectives and the goals. Focus is traditional में the focus is to study the changes in expenditure. मतलब previous year में अगर suppose आपने ज्यादा expenditure किया है तो आने वाले time में definitely you would require more amount. So यहाँ पे हम focus कर रहे हैं कितना आप spend कर रहे हो, कहाँ पे spend कर रहे हो, क्यों spend कर रहे हो, वो focus किया जाता है zero based budgeting में। तो it is to study cost benefit analysis. So after this proper critical analysis, basically this is a part of zero based budgeting. Communication में traditional में the communication is mainly like it is more using the vertical communication, that is from union to states, or you can say states to the local level. And zero based budgeting में दोनों direction में is vertically as well and horizontally also. So this is again we can say it is more democratic and federal. This reflects more of, we can say, unitary powers. Method की अगर हम बात करें तो traditional में it is based on extrapolation, that is from the yesteryear's future projections they are carried out. So on the basis of past year figures, you carry out the projections for the future or the upcoming year. In zero-based budgeting, the decision package is totally based on cost benefit analysis. इसमें आप previous year की figures account में नहीं लेते हो, you are starting from zero base, you are starting afresh. कोई previous base year नहीं है, previous year performance आप नहीं है, you're not considering that. So you're just looking into future की क्या needs हैं, आपके goals and objectives क्या हैं, and again you assess this as per the cost benefit analysis. जीरो बेस्ड बजटिंग फॉर होटल्स, तो इस सेक्टर को कैसे ये मेथड बूस्ट कर सकता है। सो फॉर इयर्स वी आर सीइंग कि जो ये मेथड है दिस इज रेवोल्यूशनाइज्ड हाउ होटल्स दे एलोकेट देयर रिसोर्सेज। सो इट फर्स्टली हेल्प्स इन efficient resource allocation, it promotes efficiency, financial efficiency also, agility and smart decision making. So it has gained even more popularity. Obviously after COVID-19 pandemic, we have been focusing more upon the fiscal prudence, and it is not just limited to the union government, different areas may be fiscal prudence equally important here. So in this era of adaptability and resource optimization, that is paramount. So zero-based budgeting, that it emerges as a strategic tool for the hotels and approach. This also instills a culture of fiscal responsibility, empowering the teams to make decisions that drive success, which again, जो आपके decisions हैं, they are long lasting. Then it offers you flexibility and agility. So herein this helps the hotels to quickly adapt to the market changes and evolving trends. So as the challenges are emerging, and again यहाँ पे आप climate changes की भी बात कर सकते हो. Climate change आज के time में the most difficult and the most important challenge that is emerged. So adapting to these changes and challenges, that can be, easily done through the zero-based budgeting methodology. And definitely hotels are an important part of the growth story of tourism industry. So it involves strategic decision making, and it fosters a deep understanding for each and every department. You are not basically underestimating any specific area. So equal importance is given to all the different aspects which are there, and cost conscious culture ये promote करता है. तो again यहाँ पे भी behavioral change is more being promoted. So cost conscious culture. So this mindset encourages even creative problem solving. So it in a way promotes innovation as well. So basically it generates value for every dollar that is being spent or every rupee that is being spent. Then again, this is a very important aspect when we talk about the ISRO space missions. तो कैसे ISRO इतनी कम cost से दैट टू सक्सेसफुली मिशंस कंप्लीट कर पा रहा है। सक्सेसफुल मिशंस कैसे कंप्लीट कर पा रहे हैं? सो द मेन आंसर टू दैट इज जीरो बेस्ड बजटिंग स्ट्रेटजी, जो इसरो अडॉप्ट करता हुआ रहा है। एंड दिस इज नॉट समथिंग न्यू, फ्रॉम द वेरी बिगिनिंग दे हैव बीन रिलाइंग ऑन दिस टेक्निक, on this strategy on very strict basis. So India became the first country to land in the lunar south pole. Recently we saw that Chandrayaan-3 mission has been successful. So उसके बाद ये area थोड़ा और focus में आ गया. So we saw कि जो budget था for Chandrayaan-3, that was around rupees 615 crores, and which is very much less when we compare it to many, Bollywood or Hollywood movies budgets. So only 615 crores of budget may we have successfully landed, soft landed on lunar south pole. So इसके पीछे again reason क्या है कि हम successfully इतने low cost में successfully missions accomplish कर पा रहे हैं. And even Mars orbiter mission जो था, that was also one of the lowest missions conducted so far in India. So जो agency की strict practice है of adhering to the zero-based budgeting, that is the reason, coupled with its reliance on securing the supplies from Indian companies. So Indian companies से ही supply source किए जाते हैं. So this has helped making its operations cheaper. So it is applied to each and everything, चाहे वो जनरल बजट हो इसरो का, या प्रोजेक्ट बजट, प्रोग्राम बजट, या बजट्स फॉर फैसिलिटीज. सो बजट्स में भी यू कैन सी कि माइक्रो लेवल पे बजट्स बनाए जाते हैं, एंड उसमें भी जीरो बजट बेस्ड मेथोडोलॉजी अडॉप्ट की गई है. सो P. Sudarshan, who was recruited for ISRO in 1976. So he was responsible for the ISRO's budgeting and improving industry's relations. So he basically initiated this practice from 1976, and he has played a very important role in this. So ISRO basically 1974 की अगर हम बात करें तो हमने सिर्फ एक ही सैटेलाइट लॉन्च करी थी, एंड उस टाइम पे इंडिया ने साथ के साथ अपना फर्स्ट न्यूक्लियर टेस्ट भी कंडक्ट किया था 1974 में, व्हिच वाज नेम्ड ऑपरेशन स्माइलिंग बुद्धा. उसके बाद इंडिया के ऊपर बहुत सारी कंट्रीज ने सैंक्शंस इम्पोज कर दिए गए, जिसकी वजह से इंडिया टेक्नोलॉजी इंपोर्ट नहीं कर पाई. तो ये एक चैलेंज इमर्ज हुआ, बट अगेन विद दिस वी टर्न दिस चैलेंज इनटू एन अपॉर्चुनिटी. सो सिंस हम टेक्नोलॉजी इंपोर्ट नहीं कर पा रहे थे, नहीं कर सकते थे बिकॉज ऑफ द सैंक्शंस, so we started focusing and procuring the supplies from domestic industry players. So this has helped the budget of ISRO. So here I'm quoting the words of P. Sudarshan sir. He says कि this helped our budget because India company जो थी, they were far more cheaper compared to the international ones. So इसकी वजह से एक तो majorly हमारी cost reduce हो गई, and we allowed the industries जिन्होंने ISRO के साथ partner किया to export with some conditions. तो again उनको export के लिए permission थी, but again उनके ऊपर कुछ conditions थी जो उनको meet करनी important थी, because they were also supplying to ISRO. So we also gave them opportunities, and we did market research for them, which was very important for the industrial growth as well. So that is the reason how you can see कि synergetically both the industry and ISRO, they have worked together, aiding each other's growth. And this is the best example of even you can talk about cooperative federalism as well. So 2023 में and आने वाले टाइम में जीरो बेस्ड बजटिंग डोमिनेट क्यों करेगा, why it is so important और why it has come into focus now. हमें पता है कि एक ऐसी टेक्निक एग्जिस्ट करती है, बट आज के टाइम में इतनी इंपॉर्टेंट क्यों हो गई है. सो जो मार्केट डाउनटर्न हमें देखने को मिल रहा है, जैसे हम बोलते हैं कि पार्ट ऑफ अ बिजनेस साइकिल, एंड दिस इज समथिंग व्हिच इज नेचुरल, तो इकोनॉमिक स्लोडाउन हमें देखने को मिल रहा है. सो दैट इज कॉजिंग ग्रेटर स्क्रूटनी ऑन फाइनेंसेस and cost cutting bolstered by the zero based budgeting. But frugality isn't a bad thing as well. So we are again focusing more upon our finances. So that's a philosophy that has guided even the startup world. And money was a free resource. पहले की अगर हम बात करें तो getting finance was not that difficult. So money was a free resource back then. So fundraising कोई इतना मुश्किल task नहीं होता था, and top line growth was the only focus back then. So in the race of shrinking economy, things they are changing, everyone's left to face their sins. So this is part of the global trend. जब हम बात करते हैं global economic slowdown की, this is part of the global trend. So less investment हम देख रहे हैं, companies they are having to work harder than ever to justify वो कैसे पैसा spend कर रहे हैं, कहाँ पैसा spend कर रहे हैं, and make their money go further. So it is basically becoming a little difficult for the companies herein, and as a result, there's been a shift in focus from exponential to sustainable growth also. So for sustainable growth, आपकी financial accounting बहुत important हो जाती है, and which is where this zero-based budgeting technique, it can become a real boon when we talk about furthering or sticking to sustainable growth. So this methodology, it has been around since 1970s, and this fell out of favor when money, it became an abundant resource back then. So 1970s में money या funding की ऐसी कोई problem नहीं थी. So 2023 में जो again we are seeing more focus and giving importance to this to this methodology, it is enhanced by the fintech solutions available today as well. So fintech solutions and साथ में zero based budgeting दोनों मिलके हमें हेल्प करेगा इन मूविंग टुवर्ड सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट. सो कंपनीज डेफिनेटली उनको जब हम बात करते हैं डेटा एनालिटिक्स की, तो वहां पे फिनटेक सॉल्यूशंस जो न्यू टेक्नोलॉजी हमारे पास है, दैट इज आल्सो मेड थिंग्स लिटिल इजियर in order to have the data analytics, and accordingly you can decide your budget. So digitization or high tech tools, they render such information more accessible than it's ever been. So these are some of the reasons why we see कि आने वाले टाइम में zero based budgeting is going to be prominent. So it encourages innovation also. So this methodology अब ये innovation कैसे promote करता है? तो with the previous budgeting methods, the more you spent in a year, the more you would get the next year. So ये basically traditional methodology में ऐसा it used to function. That resulted in the dissipation of the funds. So उसकी वजह से obviously funds डिसिपेट होंगे, दे वुड डिक्लाइन, क्योंकि अगर आपने प्रीवियस ईयर में कुछ पैसा स्पेंड किया तो आने वाले टाइम में आप ज्यादा पैसा डिमांड करोगे. सो जीरो बेस्ड बजटिंग incentivizes the companies to find best way to spend their money and to think more creatively about how to make it stretch further. So that's how it can again promote innovation. And in a world which is recovering from the pandemic, jahan pe we are seeing right now, we are also facing this major challenge of inflation. It is higher than it has been in decades. Geopolitical tensions are increasing. Russia-Ukraine war ki wajah se this is increased. Then Taiwan mein tensions are increasing. And apart from this, funding is also declining. So that is why this zero-based budgeting becomes vital. So these are some of the reasons applications हमने cover करी. I hope the things and the areas that we covered are clear to you, and you can leave your doubts in the comment section, and do subscribe to Ansarkari and stay tuned for further updates.